We are now talking to NHL.com Deputy Managing Editor Adam Kimelman. What's going on, Adam?
I'm doing good. It's listen, I got a little few years and a few less hairs than some of you guys do, so I feel all your pain.
Thank you. But you don't have to deal with him on a daily basis. I do. So you don't feel my pain.
Well, that's a good thing, because if you feel his pain, you'll be losing your hair by the day, not by the minutes.
I'm out of here.
Anyways, Adam, tell the fans a little bit about what you do for NHL.com and really how you got into writing and all that other stuff that you do.
Well, it's interesting. This is my 20th year covering the Philadelphia Flyers, both for the NHL and for the newspaper I worked at previously, the Trenton Times. But this is I started when I got to college in 1993, so I'm that old. But yeah, it's just writing about sports was something that really came easily and interesting, easy to me, because sports is something I was interested in. Hockey just became my thing, just sort of through a happy accident, where we had a minor league team in Trenton when I was working at the newspaper there, the Trenton Titans of the East Coast Hockey League, and the writer there left to take a job at ESPN, and I offered to do that job, and that's the one I thought I would do, minor league hockey. I was fine with it, and the sports there said, we're going to give that to somebody else, but would you like to do the Flyers? And I said, well, if you're going to force me to go to the NHL, I guess I will go directly to the NHL. And that was 2002. So I've been doing hockey pretty much nonstop since then.
Oh, that's a great story. And you really, everything had to fall in the right position for you to get where you are today. And to me, when you talk about stories and really how people move on in their careers, you always have something crazy that you can add to the story. And you're like, wow, that's some part of the story. I mean, I could tell you a story too. This is how I got in, you know what I mean, into the business. So it's a very unique story. So Adam, now let's get into some NHL conversation, because obviously you're right for the Philadelphia Flyers. So why don't we go into the Philadelphia Flyers right now that are playing, I would say they're playing decent hockey. I mean, last year, their goaltending, a lot of people thought Hart was going to be one of the best goalies in the NHL, and then just really, right in front of our eyes, just fell apart. He really turned out to, at one point, they sent him down to the AHL, I think, and they brought him back up. So you're talking about a guy that was a star goaltender the second half of the season the year before, and then all of a sudden fell off as a goalie. So what are your thoughts right now of Hart, and what this defense has done in the offseason?
Well, I think with Carter, I know some people sort of lost a little faith in him when he struggled. Carter's a guy I've seen going back to even before the Flyers drafted him, when he was playing for Everett in the Western League and in the World Juniors. And I remember, he's a starting goalie for Canada in the World Juniors in Toronto, I believe it was. There could not have been a more high-pressure situation to put a 17-year-old goalie in than that situation. And he loses the game in the shootout. U.S. wins the gold medal. And I asked him how long that stayed with him. And he said, about a day or two. And I really didn't believe him until the more I got to know Carter, the more I said, oh, he's not just saying that. He turned the page that quick, because as athletic and as skilled as he is one of the more mentally tough players I've ever been around. Nothing really phases him. Good games or bad games. And that's kind of the art to being a goalie, is maintaining that even keel. And he's really, really good at a very young age doing that. And look, last season was bad for a lot of reasons on a lot of levels. And Carter was one of the reasons the Flyers were not good last year. But I really always believe that with a normal offseason of work, having a long summer to get his game where it needed to be, I really didn't expect anything other than the way Carter is playing now. I'm not surprised. I knew he would be really good. I believe he will be a very, very good goalie, probably top 10 goalie in the league at some point during his NHL career.
So they had a busy offseason, the Flyers, one of the busiest in the NHL. They get Cam Atkinson in a trade for Jakub Voracek. They got two defensive pieces in Ryan Ellis, and a guy Tyler and I both wanted in Rasmus Ristolainen. We wanted for the Rangers. He goes to the Flyers from Buffalo. So what are your impressions of the way those guys have played so far?
Well, I'd like to see all of those guys sort of in the lineup at the same time. We've only gotten 3 games of Ryan Ellis, so we're probably not going to see him for at least another 2 or 3 weeks as he gets past whatever nagging lower body injury he's had really since training camp. that he's tried to play through, but, probably will be best served by taking some real significant time off, letting whatever the issue is heal. I've asked Elaine Vigneault on Tuesday if surgery is an option for whatever the injury is, and they don't believe so. They believe it's just rehab and rest, and he'll get back to being the guy that he is. But look, I think Ristolainen, I've been a big Ristolainen fan for a long time. I think he's a guy that at 19, 20, 21 minutes a night, he's a really good player. I think what happened in Buffalo is he got exposed by playing too many minutes in too difficult a situation. And at 25, 26 minutes a night against the best players in the league, you see the cracks in the foundation. The Flyers are good enough now with Provorov and Justin Braun now on that top pair to kind of allow him to play on that second pair with Sanheim and really, focus in on what he can do really well. That's be physical, kill penalties, be a big, nasty body. And you saw it if you watched the game last night against Calgary. That's what they needed, and he was involved. Anytime there was a scrum in front of the net, he was shifting bodies around to places that allowed Carter Hart to be successful, and he's a loud player. He's a loud player because you can hear him banging bodies when he's on the ice.
Like Speed said, I'm very upset that he went to Flyers. Speaking of Flyers, it kind of starts with Claude Giroux. He's going into a contract here in the offseason, and the Flyers are on this brink of going very young. They have a bunch of young talent coming up. What are the chances Claude Giroux ends his career in orange and black?
I kind of have been back and forth on this where I don't know. I really, I found it odd when he came out during training camp and said, we're going to table this discussion until the end of the season. He's your captain. He's going to be your second leading scorer before the end of the season in franchise history. He's going to pass Bill Barber. I believe he's within 25 or 30 points of passing Billy Barber for number 2. So he's going to be your second leading scorer of all time. He's played more games as a captain than anybody else in franchise history. The only thing they haven't done is win a cup with him. So, he's accomplished just about everything you can possibly accomplish with the Flyers if he chose to leave. I definitely think he wants to continue playing. I don't think he's had enough. Whether that state remains in Philadelphia, it's really going to be an interesting question. I don't know. I think it's really a 50-50 toss-up if he stays or if he moves on after the season.
We are talking to NHL.com deputy managing editor Adam Kimelman. Now, Adam, we look at the Metropolitan Division, and in the beginning of the season, Carolina really took off, and really nobody's really caught them. And they're playing very good hockey. They're getting good goaltending. Everybody was questioning the goaltending change in the offseason, trading him all the way to Detroit. It made absolutely no sense. But Carolina's getting good goaltending. Their defense is playing well. They're fighting and playing on running on all cylinders. They've been great. But the two teams that really have stood out to me so far in the Metropolitan Division in this short season, because there's only 15, 16 games, so anything could happen, are the Rangers and the New Jersey Devils, two teams that have played very, very well. Very surprised, and my team, the Islanders, that have not played well. They haven't had a home game. We'll get into them in just a little while. What are your thoughts to what the Rangers are doing with Gallant running the helms behind the nets, and obviously what the New York Rangers are doing defensively as a team this year?
Well, I'm a big Shesterkin fan. I had, when I went down to make my season predictions, I had the Rangers as a playoff team. So the fact that they're having success and they are where they are in the standings, I'm not necessarily surprised. I think they got a great coach. I really think Gallant is a very, very good coach. You look at what he's done. Look at his track record in Florida, in Vegas. I really didn't think he'd have any issues finding success in New York. I was curious how all the new pieces would gel with Gaudreau and Reeves, and could Adam Fox have another season like he had last season where he was Norris, the Norris Trophy winner, but he's been as good, if not better. You see what Zibanejad has done, and Panarin really hasn't played Panarin style yet, and they are still where they are in the standings. So, yeah, I think the Rangers are really set up for some significant success, and if they can get him going, if they can get LaFreniere going, I know Kakko scored a goal the other night. He's a guy that they certainly could get going and give them some more depth scoring. But the Rangers being where they are, not really a surprise to me. And with New Jersey, losing Jack Hughes is a huge hit for them. He was just kind of blossoming into the player that everyone assumed he's going to end up being when they drafted him number 1 back in, I think it was 2018, excuse me. Once he gets healthy and he's able to get his legs going back under again, I love what they did with bringing in Dougie Hamilton and Ryan Graves, who I think is a really good player, really good, defensive complement to what they have with Dougie Hamilton there. And you look at their group of 6 defensemen. PK Subban isn't the PK Subban he was a couple of years ago, but you use him in a third pair in a power play role, he can still be a very useful player for them. So, I think what they're building in New Jersey is really good, and you've seen what they've got out of Dawson Mercer. Alexander Holtz is still, yet to kind of establish himself as an NHL player, but I think he's going to be really good. I think if I'm a hockey fan in the New York metropolitan area between the Devils and the Rangers, and I think the Islanders are going to get better at some point. I don't think they are, the team that they've shown to be so far, but I'd be really happy with all 3 of those teams going the right direction.
So this season has been a tale of 2 different players for the Rangers with the top 2 picks. We've seen Alexis Lafreniere really take a big step like he did in the second half of last season. And Kaapo Kakko, he finally is on a nice little goal streak, but still has had his issues this year. So what do you think the ultimate ceiling will end up being for both these players, both statistically speaking and also maybe even the roles on the team? Could you see Lafreniere be a center eventually? Could you see Kakko get into the top 6 if he stays hot? And if Kakko doesn't, is this a make or break year for him?
Well, I think with Lafreniere, I think what's always stood out to me, and this goes back to watching him in his draft year at World Juniors, he thinks the game so well. He doesn't have the dominant physical skills. He's a big, strong guy, and he's getting bigger and he's getting stronger. But he doesn't have the dominant physical skills. What he has is an innate sense that you can't coach, you can't teach. That he just has to be in the right place at the right time. And look, he's still not even 20 years. Maybe he's just 20. So there's a lot of growth room for him. And I think you could say the same for Kakko. I think he's had a little bit of a tougher sled just because, where he's coming from, playing in Finland for so many years. He's still got to get used to the North American ice. And we got to remember, these guys have really, in Kakko's case, he's played, one 82-game season? Lafreniere still hasn't played one yet. So you want to kind of get these guys into a, quote, normal situation. And we're still not there yet. We're close. But at least give these guys one full 82-game season before we decide what kind of players they are. But I think both those guys, the ceiling for Lafreniere, I think, could be a little bit higher. I think he could be a top-line winger. Kakko, listen, if he's a second-line forward for you and a guy who can chip in on the power play, I think you're really happy with that.